I am Christina with Shakespeare's, and if you don't know yet, Shakespeare's is Shakespeare with puppets. So, welcome to episode 4 of Shakespeare Snacks. So, today we are going to be talking about the fool characters in Shakespeare plays. Now, do you know what yesterday was? It was April 1st, which means it was April Fool's Day. Did anybody get into any trouble, any mischief, any practical jokes?
I love fools. You see, often in my plays, the fools are actually the wisest characters.
So I thought, in honor of April Fool's Day, we would honor the fools and make a cute little fool puppet. So I'm going to grab my sample here. This is our fool puppet. And because this puppet is controlled by strings, and we control from the top, that means that this puppet is called a marionette. That's right, there's all different kinds of puppets, and because this one is controlled by strings, it's called a marionette. That's usually the kind of puppets that I perform with as well. So I really like marionettes. Are you guys ready? Let's do it. First, you will need a toilet paper roll. We need some construction paper or colored paper. I have a couple of different colors here. Some yarn or string, a pencil, or this is mostly for poking some holes in our toilet paper roll. So if you have a helper, you can use some sharp scissors, and you can have an adult helper around help you poke those holes. Some beads. There we go. One pipe cleaner. Some scissors. Some tape. Markers or crayons or colored pencils, what have you, for drawing and decorating. We'll need a thin dowel like this. This is for the controller. So anything that you have, this is actually like a barbecue, like teriyaki skewer, and I've just trimmed the sharp end. But if you have a little dowel, or you know what, if you have any chopsticks sitting in your drawer that you're not using, or you can even use a pencil. And then lastly, I told you we could use the hole punch. I'm not going to use it to poke my holes, but I'm going to use it to create some little dots for decorations. So that's what I'm going to use it for. All right, so those are our materials. Are you all ready to get started? Let's do it. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our toilet paper roll, and we're going to cover it in whatever color we want. I think I'm going to do pink. I'm just going to hold my roll to my paper, and I'm just going to make a little cut. Or you can draw a mark with a pencil or pen, just to mark how much you'll need. And then that mark that I started, I'm just going to cut all the way across. Just like that. So now I can wrap this paper all the way around my roll, and it will cover up the cardboard, and now I have a nice color for my body. And if you want to keep wrapping all the way around, you can, but I'm going to trim off the extra here. There we go. And now I'm going to use my tape to tape it in place. Okay. Now we have our body. All right. So now I am going to poke 4 holes in the body. We're going to do 2 on either side, closer to the top, right about there, and then 2 down here at the bottom. So at the top, these are going to be for the arms, and the bottom, these are going to be for the legs. So this might be a good time to grab a helper if someone is around. There we go. Be careful doing this. This is why it's good to have a helper. There we go. So now I've got 2 holes. And now, in about the same place, I'm going to do that again closer to the top for the arms. There we go. Wasn't so bad. So if I hold up my little body, I've got 2 holes there, and on the other side, 2 holes right there. Great. So now we can make our legs. And I am going to use red. And this is probably too much, but we can always trim it later. We just want it to be able to go all the way through the roll, through both of the holes, and then hang down a little bit for legs. That's the idea. So I'm going to show you a trick for this. Because we're going to have to thread this yarn through the beads and also through this toilet paper roll, yarn can tend to fray and it gets really hard to work with. So I'm going to take a little piece of tape and wrap it around the end. So it makes it a little stiffer and easier to thread through things. Just wrap it around the end as tight as you can. So think of it like the end of a shoelace. If anybody is tying their shoes these days, right? You know how it has that little plastic at the end? It's the same idea, so it makes it easier to go through the holes. Now, for the feet. Our beads are going to be our puppet's feet. So I'm going to take my thread, my yarn, and put it through the bead, just like that. And I'm going to put it all the way to the end. And I'm just going to tie a little knot around this bead. Just like that. There we go. And now I'm going to string on 1 more bead. So he's going to have 2 beads for this foot. Now, before I put on the other beads, I'm going to thread my yarn through the toilet paper roll. So the tape makes it nice and easy to just go through that hole, and then we're going to go through the hole on the other side. There we go. So I went in one side all the way through and then out the other side. And I can pull it through to however long I want my puppet legs to be. Now I'm ready to put on my other beads. So I'm going to put the smaller one first this time, and then the bigger one. And again, I'm going to kind of measure out so that the legs are more or less even. That looks good. And now, same thing when I started, I'm just going to tie a knot around this bead. Whoop. There we go. So now we have some extra here we can cut off. And we're done with that. So, our little jester has legs. Excellent. So now we can make their arms. So we have our 2 holes here at the top for our arms. I have my pipe cleaner, and similar to what we did with the string, putting it through the roll. It's a little easier now because the pipe cleaner is a little stiffer. So we just put it through one side and then back out through the other hole on the other side, just like that. And pull it through so it's more or less the same amount on either side. We can make little hands for our puppet. So I'm just going to take the end and kind of make a little loop. Just like that. And another little loop. Like so. And what I did also on mine is I, kind of in the middle, is I made a little bend for some elbows. That makes it look a little better. Yeah. There we go. Here's our basic fool body. All right. And what I did, I'm going to use, I'm going to use blue for my decorating. What I did is I just kind of, on an angle, cut like a little triangle, and then I cut some strips at a diagonal, just like that. That's probably plenty. And then from there, see how this makes a little point? I made another little point so that I have some little triangles. And I'm just going to go back and forth cutting. So the idea being, you ever see like drawings or pictures of like old jesters with their little jester hats. They're wearing those weird costumes with all the diamonds and all the different colors.
Something like this.
That pattern is called motley. So that is what I'm kind of imitating here with these little triangles. I know they're not diamonds, but if you want to make diamonds, go for it. Or if you want to just draw or color your costume, you can do that. Maybe you want buttons instead of the triangles or diamonds. It's whatever you like. But this is what I did. And I'm just going to take some glue stick and just glue my little diamonds on. Or they're really triangles. And I'm just going to kind of make a fun little, kind of random, not necessarily following any rhyme or reason here. See how I'm just kind of sticking them on there. Ta-da! So now my jester has a fun, bright costume. And like I said, definitely feel free if you want to draw some more fun things on there. Please do. I'm sure you can be much more creative than I'm being right here. Now I think it's time to give our little friend a face. So I am just going to, if you have something to trace, maybe another toilet paper roll, and you want to trace a circle, you can do that. But I'm just going to freehand it. I'm just going to draw a circle. See, a little bit more of an oval, but that's okay. Here is my imperfect circle for my face. And now I'm just going to draw the face. Make some eyes. I'm going to give him a nose. And I just drew a round circle. Now for the mouth. I gave him a nice big old goofy smile. Yeah. And you know what? I am going to give my puppet some freckles also because I think they're very cute. So I'll just take a little glue and glue it. Should be enough. Right here at the top. So it's kind of sticking up a little bit from the top of the roll, from the top of the body. Look how silly that guy is. I'm going to make a jester hat. So if you see on my example, he's got a really funky little hat, and it has these little points that are falling over in different directions. So I'll show you how I drew that. And if you want to make your own version, feel free. I'll do it in marker so you can see it a little clearer. So first I'm going to start with just a little half circle on the edge of the paper. And now I'm going to make 4 different points, but I'm going to make them a little bit curved. So I'll show you on the first one. See, I made this point. I went out and then I came back in, but instead of making a straight point, I kept the line a little bit curved. Now I'm going to do one more that's curving in that same direction. So I had 2 that are kind of pointing in this direction and 2 that are pointing in the other direction. Now that's how I did it, but if you want your jester hat to look different, please do something different. Or if you want the points to be sticking straight up, go for it. So I've cut all the way around. See, I didn't even do a very good job of cutting. Don't tell anyone. So I will glue it just like this to the top of my jester's head, or his funny little hat. So I'm putting the glue on the side with the marker. Okay. And I'm just gluing it right to the top of his head. There we go. Nice. Now, the last thing that I'm going to do to decorate my jester is I'm going to put some little balls at the end like this. I think often when you see pictures, these guys would have little bells on their hats so that they would make a lot of noise. So this is what I'm going to use my hole punch for, is I'm just going to punch a couple of holes. I have 4 points on my hat, so I'm just going to punch 4 holes. And we can dump those out, and I'm going to glue those right to these little points. Now this can be tricky because these dots are small. You have to be careful that the glue gets on the dots and not all over your fingers. Let's see if you can see. Gluing it right. Nope. Right there. So now he has some cute little bells on his cute little hat. And if you want to take your markers and do some other coloring or designing on the hat, also feel free to do that. So for those of you who joined us yesterday with Almost Grown's distance socializing event, you might be thinking, Christina, I already made this puppet. Well, I wanted to show you some ways that you could be a little more creative with your marionette puppet. So here's a way that you could turn it into something a little bit different. You could make either a prince or princess or king or queen, something like that. So I've got two different options. I made another little face for a prince, and I'm gonna make one more to show you a princess. So I'm gonna take a marker. Here we go. And I'm gonna draw her eyes, same as before. Her cute little nose. I'm gonna use orange. Here's a cute little nose. And I'm gonna use some pink to give her a mouth. I am gonna give her just a little bit of hair. If you wanna get really creative, feel free to cut some strips of yarn, just some little strips. You can bunch them together and make some hair. But I think that would be better with some white glue. So you might need to wait for that to dry. So I'm gonna leave that part up to you. I'm just gonna draw a little bit of hair onto my gal here. Gave her just some little short hair. I have short hair. So you can either make yours into a prince or princess or king or queen. And for that, we're gonna make a crown instead of a jester hat. So I'll use my marker so you can see the lines that I'm drawing. I'm going to start the same way with just a little kind of half circle there at the bottom. And I'm going to draw just some points. So with our jester hat, we made the points kind of stick out. These are going to be straight up and down. So like that. See, I made them nice and pointy. And I'm going to cut that out right on the black line. I'm going to go ahead and glue the crown on the head. And again, I'm going to put the glue on the marker side so that you don't see it. Just a little bit of glue right here on the top of her head. Just like that. And now, a little bit of glue to attach my princess head to my body. Now, the reason why I wanted to do a princess is because there's a fun way that you can give your princess a really cute little skirt. So I'm going to show you that now. You're just going to take a little bit of construction paper. I'm using red. You can trim it. Let's see. I'll do a little bit longer. Maybe about 2 inches, something like that. And just cut a strip. And now I'm going to take my little rectangle of construction paper and just cut some straight lines on one side, just like that. So it's making like a little fringe. Probably won't need that much, but see, I've just gone all the way across and made a nice little fringe. Now, this is going to be the skirt of my princess. So I'm going to take this and wrap it all the way around. And you can see where I wrapped the construction paper around the whole tube earlier. So I'm going to use that same line. And I'm going to go ahead and trim this extra. So just enough to go all the way around. And I'm going to try and line it up with my other line, more or less. And I'm going to tape that into place. There we go. just like that. Now, I'm gonna take her, and I can take a little pencil or something and just kind of curl this skirt up a little bit to give it a little shape. I think that's very fun. You know what I'm doing? I'm just kind of using the pencil to make these little curls in my skirt fringe. There we go. I'm gonna bring my legs right back straight down. And now, instead of a jester, I've made a very cute little princess puppet. If you want yours to be a prince instead, by all means, but I wanted to show you the princess because I like this little skirt that she has here. Or you can have a prince in a skirt. Why not? Totally up to you. Okay, so we have our jester. Look at that. Our little jester friend. But you know what? It's not a puppet yet. We've got to add the strings and the rod to control our puppet. Otherwise, he's just going to lay around and do nothing. We don't want that. Okay. So now I'm going to use my yellow yarn, again, just because I like it. And I'm going to cut some pieces, not that much. What is that? 1.5 feet perhaps? Can always trim it later. Doesn't have to be too long. So I've got 2 that are about that size. The third one can actually be shorter, but it doesn't really matter. Again, we can always trim it later. So I'm going to start with the longer pieces. And I'm going to tie 1 string or yarn to each wrist, basically. So right about here where the hand ends, I'm going to tie a knot. I'm going to try to hold it up a little so you guys can see. So there we go. I've got 1 string tied onto 1 wrist. And I'm going to take my other string and do the exact same thing. I'll hold it up a little bit so you can see. There we go. Now we just need 1 more string. I'm going to attach it to the back of my roll or my body. And for this one, we can use the hole punch because it doesn't matter if this hole is a little bit bigger. So I'm going to take my hole punch right about in the middle on the back, right, and just a little ways down. So I just have a little hole right back there. Make it a little easier on myself to get this last piece of yarn through that hole. Just like that. And we're going to tie another knot. Okay. So I'm going to start again with the strings on the arms, and now I'm going to start attaching it to my rod. So I'm going to look at about how long I want my strings to be, and I think that's pretty good. Maybe a little bit longer. Right about there is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to knot this yarn around the dowel. And if you're having trouble making it stay, if it's sliding around, if your knots aren't holding as well, you can always just put a little piece of tape over it, or if you have a hot glue gun, just like a little dot of hot glue. Again, that's something that you would need a helper for. And I'm going to measure about the same distance on the other side and tie it to the dowel on the other side. Almost done. We just have to tie the last string that's attached to the back right there. And this one's easy because you don't really have to measure it out. It kind of does it itself because we've got our arm strings in place. So I'll need about that much. And I'll just tie a little knot. Sometimes this part is helpful to have a helper with you, so somebody can hold the rod while you're tying the knots. That can be very helpful. There we go. I'm going to cut the extra string off here. See, like that. We don't need it. Ta-da! There's our funny little fool. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Yay! All right. So that's what I got for you today. I hope you had fun. And now you know about the fool characters in Shakespeare's plays. They are often not foolish at all, but very wise.
Christina, don't forget to remind everyone to bring their April Fool's puppets next Tuesday. In our Shakespeare Snacks video, we will be dealing with a scene where we will need everyone's fool puppets. Oh, wait a second. I guess I just did remind everyone. Huh! What a fool am I! Ha! 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 See you on Tuesday, everyone.
That was so much fun. I hope you had fun also. You can find out more about Shakespeare's on my website, shakespeares.com. There's a cute little donate button there as well if you want to show a little support for Shakespeare's. That is Shakespeare with puppets. Thanks everyone. Bye.